Good afternoon, Kósmos Church. So, as many of you have probably already heard, the coronavirus pandemic, it's not over and it's back in full force. The only way we can beat this thing is if we stick together in following the rules and the regulations. So, as you know, the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control has laid out a simple set of guidelines that we all have to follow. So let's work together right now to follow those guidelines. In your day-to-day life, as you are in public, there are a few things you should do. The first thing, help us stay safe by staying away. Stay safe by staying away. Now, these signs should look more than familiar to you. They are in every upper seat, on every pew. They are in all of our classrooms. You might even find them at any of our special events. Anywhere where there's a Kósmos Church system function, and I'm going to tilt the camera up just so that you could get an excellent look, and then I'm going to show you that we are to stay 6 feet or 2 meters apart. How long is that? I am exactly 2 meters high. In case those of you who doesn't use the metric system knows, 2 meters is 6 feet 4 inches because 1 meter is 3 feet 2 inches. So I'm exactly 2 meters high. So if I was to lay down on the floor right now, which judging by my size, you should know I'm not going to do, the average person, everybody should be 1 at my head and 1 at my feet, meaning 2 meters or 6 feet. So the first thing is to stay 6 feet apart from everybody. The second thing, this is the most uncomfortable of the recommendations, but you'll see it's important. Look at this. You should have known. You should have known. Everywhere you go, you have to do this. This is your standard issue mask. As you know, many of us want to know, how does it protect us? There are fibers in here, depends on the type of mask that you have, that stops germs from penetrating this barrier. How you put the mask on is very important. Anytime you go into an establishment where you will be around people that are not related to you by blood, or people that you do not live with, or both, you will be given one of these. If the pandemic suddenly gets worse while you are on an airplane, I'm assuming that these should probably just fall out of the ceiling just like your oxygen masks. But you should have had it on in order to get on the plane anyway, so that's why it's not there. In BIOS, though, in all seriousness, these are given to you at the door. If you ever forget one, or if they ever break in during service, there's usually going to be one underneath all of the seats, including ones that you cannot sit in. There's always a mask underneath every seat. So, while you are in church or anywhere, step 1, you have to open the mask, because usually they're in some sort of packaging. Once you have the mask to this condition, you are going to put it over your nose and your mouth. Easy, right? Just put the mask over your nose and mouth, bring the string back, and pull down on the bottom of the mask. Pull down so that it is covering your chin. Make sure there is a seal between the mask and your chin. sure there's a seal between the mask and your cheeks too on your face. Here's the part that many people forget. They forget that they have to pinch the nose. Yes, there is an elastic in here that you have to pinch so that there is now a seal between your eye socket and your face. Because guess what? When you, for any reason, pass someone that has emitted the coronavirus into the air, when you breathe in, it creates a suction right underneath your eye socket. Germs will flow through there. You have to pinch it and cover it. This is the worst thing you could do when you need to wear a mask. This does not benefit you. Not only are you spewing germs out into the air, you are now receiving them through your nose in full force. This also does not benefit you. That doesn't even help. Doesn't make it any better. Although it makes it harder for you to spew germs out through your mouth, it breaks the seal right here, causing them to come through the side of your face. And then, of course, if there's germs in the air, they could go right up your nose and likewise come out of your nose. It's no benefit to leave your nose out or your mouth out at any time. Some safety tips about the mask. If you are under the age of 3, if you are having labored breathing, meaning unconscious, or if you have breathing issues in general, it is not recommended to wear a mask. Also, there are 2 portions of a mask. The white side is the inside, the outside, the blue side is the outside. Do not, for any reason, ever touch the blue part of the mask. If it's a custom mask, do not touch the writing or the logo unless it is your first time putting the mask on, or else you will now have germs all over your hands. Second thing, the third thing, not only are we staying 6 feet apart, not only are we wearing our masks properly, which I am not doing now due to the fact that there is literally nobody in here or in the adjoining rooms right now. Wash your hands. This is this is what I'm going to challenge you to do. From today's service, from Sunday school, and now, how many times have you seen me touch my face? And I'm getting ready to do it again because anytime I feel something wrong with my face, it's just impulsive for me to just fix it by, rubbing, whatever. I probably did it 5 times in the last few minutes. We touch our noses and faces a lot, especially when we're just stagnant, doing nothing, especially when we're bored, especially when we're sweaty. Notice the only time we really touch our faces is when there's some type of liquid or other disturbance on there. Notice when we touch our face, we touch our eyes and our mouth and our nose the most. Where can germs be found? Where can we find germs? We did a study where we swabbed different areas of this very room. You wouldn't be surprised where we found germs. Obviously, there was germs on the door handles and the keypads for the door handles. That's why we're trying to switch to keyless entry, where you can just use your ID badge and go. Never touch anyone's ID badge. It's covered in germs. We don't want to accept cash. Why? Cash, there's this meme about cash being covered in drugs, being covered in feces, being covered in blood, being covered in possibly everything that cash can get covered in. Well, it's true, including the coronavirus. Unless they come up with an antimicrobial cash, which the US being the US, they've probably done it, but not ready to tell us yet. They just want to make sure it's perfect first. Well, try to avoid using cash. Use contactless payment whenever possible. If you don't have a bank card, you can always go to a big chain grocery store, my favorite being Walmart, and you could always get a pay card to where you can put money on, take money off, get direct deposit to it. If you don't want to deal with a bank, you could just use Cash App, PayPal. There's so many electronic ways to pay. Another no touch. If you don't want germs, never touch anybody's phone. Never. Never touch an electronic device. Never, ever touch things such as, people's private, personal property. Because that is covered in germs. People are careless about it because they feel, well, it's there so much, nobody else really should be touching it, so why not? A lot of us are worried about, stepping in dog feces and pee. Believe it or not, a fire hydrant has less germs on it, less deadly germs on it than people's phones on average. So that means it's cleaner to touch a fire hydrant that dogs urinate on than it is to touch somebody's phone, because most people don't clean their phones as rigorously as we always say we should. In church, do not touch the corners of the pews. People hold on to those. Everybody do. Do not touch the door handles. That's why all the doors are usually going to be propped in the position that either lets people in, out, or close the flow, as we call it. Definitely do not, go around touching random things. If you don't have to use something, please don't touch it. Germs are on there. When riding public transportation, this is a big one. Everybody who shows up at BIOS in person is eligible for free MARTA fare. Please do not touch anything that is not absolutely detrimental if you don't. Like, for example, it's okay to hold on to the escalator railing, but please do your best to try to only use it to catch yourself up, or only use it to hold on just to get up. Don't touch all over it and grab both handles. And when you're walking down the stairs, do the same. Elevator. If you have a watch, try to use that. Use your elbow. Use anything metallic, a pen. Use tissue. Never hold on to the railings inside of any elevator. Ever. Never. Those are really only supposed to be there for if the elevator is falling. Elevator falls are not a thing anymore. That's how come modern day elevators don't really come with railings anymore. So they're not necessary. Whilst in any vehicle that does not belong to you, do not touch anything other than whatever grab bar, only for the time you're using to sit down in it. Don't even touch the other seats. Don't touch anything. If you're on a bus here in Atlanta, if you can't sit, you can't ride. That's good. You know why? Bus drivers are even holding the buses now until the people sit down. You know why? Please do not touch the grab bars on public transit. They are filthy. Try to use fare products through your phone. Try to avoid the vending machines. Again, filthy. I've probably spent a long time going on a tirade about how don't touch this, don't touch that. Well, you know what? I'm trying to save your life. I've had the coronavirus. It was the worst illness I've ever had. It started out simple. I felt very weak. I felt dizzy. I was sleeping 20 hours a day. Even my urine was blood red. When I went to the bathroom, it was pretty this color, beige. I was sick. I was very sick. I lost my appetite. I had to force myself to eat. I lost 30 pounds, and anytime I tried to sleep at night, I would cough, sneeze, vomit. But here's the worst part. When I would go to do those things, every time I roll over, every time I move, it would be a violent can't breathe thing until I just decided to go to the hospital. Thank God I went just in the nick of time because I collapsed on the emergency department entranceway. So the doors couldn't close because I was blocking them because I was collapsed. They took me in the trauma room and gave me everything. I was in the hospital for 14 days. You don't want this virus. Trust me, you don't want it. Please do the recommendations I gave you. Thank you and have a blessed day. You don't want this virus. It's deadly. Deadly, it's horrible, it's expensive. Can you imagine getting a $36,000 medical bill? Thank God I have insurance. You don't want this virus. I lost 2 family members because of it. I've lost a lot of parishioners. You don't want it. Never. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. That's a bad review for the coronavirus right there.